Hey guys, it's Maylin. So as I'm editing this video, I'm realizing that maybe a lot of you out there do not have sewing machines, and maybe this tutorial is a bit more advanced for some people, the ones that prefer to use a glue gun. So what I'm gonna do is actually at the end of this video, I'm gonna kind of explain how you can do a similar backpack but with a glue gun instead. But you gotta watch the video to know what I'm talking about. So let's just get right into the tutorial.
Alright, so the first thing that we're going to be doing is creating a pattern piece. You do this with some newspaper or some advertisement paper, and the main plan here is to sketch out the actual shape that you want your backpack to be. So the actual dimensions, don't worry about seam allowance. And now we're going to transfer it to some fabric. So taking some white fabric, you want to put your pattern on there, pin it, trace around it, and then you want to cut around it, leaving a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Except for the top. The top, you want it to be like 1 inch seam allowance because that's where the drawstring is going to go. So we just completed the front piece. You also want to do the same thing again for the back piece. And then for the lining, you want to cut out 2 pieces of black fabric. Now we're ready to make the bottom part of the backpack. So just sketch out that weird petal design. Now you should have these 2 pieces. So take your top piece, put it on top of your front piece of fabric, and trace around it. Then leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. Taking the bottom part of our pattern, you want to do the same thing that we've been doing by putting it on some black fabric, tracing, and cutting. Whew, that was a lot. So let's recap. You should have 2 pieces of black lining, 1 outer back piece, and 2 pieces for your front. Moving right along, we're going to attach those 2 front pieces, and the easiest way that I have found to do this is to work one side of the petal at a time. So just pin up one side, stitch it, and then move on to the next. Ta-da! You've got yourself a front piece, and it should look so pretty once you iron it down and make it look all fancy and nice. Here I'm going to add the back piece, and I want to stitch around that curve, but I'm leaving the top open so that we can turn it inside out. Make sure you press it down with an iron so that your edges are nice and sleek. For the lining, you want to stitch the outer curve, making sure to leave the top open. Then wrong side out, you want to pop it into your bag. Then start pinning up the top so that you can stitch it. I've stitched it with a serger, but if you only have a sewing machine, then a zigzag should work just fine. Turn your bag inside out, I know, again. And what we're gonna do now is work on that casing. So fold down that top edge of your bag, fold it down about 1 inch or like 3/4, just enough so that your little string can go through. And you just wanna stitch it down all the way around with a straight stitch. Then turn it back inside out. Fold it in half, and we're going to mark that center point there with a pin, and where you've marked it, that's where you want to take your scissors, make a little hole there, and then we're going to be adding some fray check so that it doesn't fray. Next, you want to take a shoelace, a string, or a cord. Mine is from this Pokemon hoodie right here, and I am adding a safety pin to it so that it can go through that casing much easier. Trust me, you'll have a much easier time if you add that safety pin. And that is how easy the drawstring part is. Next, we're going to move on to the straps of our backpack. So these are from the trim section of Joann's. Okay, I have pinned them temporarily like this, tried on my backpack, decided that this is where I want them to be, and then I'm going to cut them, and I'm going to melt the edges a bit so that they don't fray, and then I'm going to actually stitch them onto the bag. I've done 2 stitches at the top to make sure it's extra secure, and then for the bottom strap, I've just done 1 but going through all the pieces of the backpack. And now you're almost at the finish line. This is literally the easiest part of this whole project. Just draw a circle with some circular objects, cut it out, use a little thread thingy for the smaller circle, cut that out, glue it down, and there you have it, a Pokemon backpack.
Thanks for sticking through that tutorial, you guys. Now I'm gonna explain how to do it with a glue gun and no sewing machine, for those out there that want something fast and fun. In the video, I said you should have the outside piece and then the inner lining part. So for this quick version, I would skip the lining and just have the outer shell. I mean, as long as you're not gonna use it for like carrying crazy things, just one layer should be fine. And for that, I would suggest something like a fleece material, just because there will be no frayed edges and it's kind of thick, so it'll give you a really nice structure. So you still have to do the pattern piece and cut out that shape, but instead put it on the fleece. Then once you have 2 layers of fleece, I would go around that U shape. So instead of going around with a sewing machine, I'd go around with a glue gun and just put some glue, smush it on top, and then flip it inside out. And for the casing of the string, I would just fold the top of the fleece down, and then I would glue gun right in there to create a little tunnel. So instead of sewing this part here, I would just cut out this shape on some black fleece, and then I would just glue it on top of that white top portion. And it should be fine. And then just follow the directions for this insignia and you should be good. That is how you can make a book bag much faster, easier. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. This is my last video in my Pokemon series. If you haven't seen them, the links will be down below in the description box if you want to check them out. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I will see you in my next one. Bye! So just pretend that... Oh, my cat! Oh my god, Mochi! Stop it, you're crazy! I'm explaining something here. Look at him. As I'm explaining this tutorial,